Chapter 1, Part 2 of Gigolo by Edna Ferber. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Afternoon of a Faun, Part 2. Next door for a shine at the Greek bootblacks. Enthroned on the dais, a minion at his feet, he was momentarily monarchical. "How's the boy? Good. Same here." Down. His brief reign ended, out into the bright noonday glare of 53rd Street. A fried egg sandwich. 2 blocks down and into the white-tiled lunchroom. He took his place in the row perched on stools in front of the white slab, his feet on the railing, his elbows on the counter. 4 white-aproned vestals with blotchy skins performed rites over the steaming nickel urns, slid dishes deftly along the slick surface of the white slab, mopped up moisture with a sly gray rag. No nonsense about them. This was the rush hour. Hungry men from the shops and offices and garages of the district were bent on food, not badinage. They ate silently, making a dull business of it. "Coffee? What kind of pie do you want?" "No fooling here." "Hello, Jessie." As she mopped the slab in front of him, you noticed a slight softening of her features, intent so grimly on her task. "What's yours?" "Bacon and egg sandwich, glass of milk, piece of pie, blueberry." Ordinarily she would not have bothered, but with him... "The blueberry ain't so good today, I noticed. Try the peach." "All right." He looked at her. She smiled. Incredibly, the dishes ordered seemed to leap out at her from nowhere. She crashed them down on the glazed white surface in front of him. The bacon and egg sandwich was served open-faced, an elaborate confection. 2 slices of white bread side by side. On one reposed a fried egg, hard, golden, delectable, indigestible. On the other, 3 crisp curls of bacon. The ordinary order held 2 curls only. A dish so rich in calories as to make it food sufficient for a day. Jessie knew nothing of calories, nor did Nick. She placed a double order of butter before him, 2 yellow pats, moisture beaded. As she scooped up his milk from the can, you saw that the glass was but 3/4 filled. From a deep crock she ladled a smaller scoop and filled the glass to the top. The deep crock held cream. Nick glanced up at her again. Again Jessie smiled. "A plain damsel, Jessie, and capable." She went on about her business. "What's yours? Coffee with white or rye?" No nonsense about her. And yet... "Pie all right?" "Yeah, it's good." She actually blushed. He finished, swung himself off the stool, nodded to Jessie. She stacked his dishes with one lean, capable hand, mopped the slab with the other, but as she made for the kitchen she flung a glance at him over her shoulder. "Day off?" "Yeah. Some folks has all the luck." He grinned. His teeth were strong and white and even. He walked toward the door with his light, quick step, paused for a toothpick as he paid his check, was out again into the July sunlight. Her face became dull again. "Well, not 1 o'clock. Guessed he'd shoot a little pool. He dropped into Moriarty's cigar store. It was called a cigar store because it dealt in magazines, newspapers, soft drinks, golf balls, cigarettes, pool, billiards, chocolates, chewing gum, and cigars. In the rear of the store were 4 green-topped tables, 3 for pool, 1 for billiards. He hung about aimlessly, watching the game at the one occupied table. The players were slim young men like himself, their clothes replicas of his own, their faces lean and somewhat hard. Two of them dropped out. Nick took a cue from the rack, shed his tight coat. They played under a glaring electric light in the heat of the day, yet they seemed cool, aloof, immune from bodily discomfort. It was a strangely silent game, and as mirthless as that of the elfin bowlers in Rip Van Winkle. The slim-waisted, shirted figures bent plastically over the table in the graceful postures of the game. You heard only the click of the balls, an occasional low-voiced exclamation, a solemn crew and unemotional. Now and then, "What's all the shootin' fer?" "In she goes." Nick, winner, tired of it in less than an hour. He bought a bottle of some acidulous drink just off the ice and refreshed himself with it, drinking from the bottle's mouth. He was vaguely restless, dissatisfied. Out again into the glare of 2 o'clock 53rd Street. He strolled up a block toward Lake Park Avenue. It was hot. He wished the bus wasn't sick. Might go in swimming, though. He considered this idly. Hurried steps behind him. A familiar perfume wafted to his senses. A voice, nasal yet cooing. Miss Bowers. Miss Bowers, on pleasure bent, palpably, being attired in the briefest of silks, white-strapped slippers, white silk stockings, scarlet hat. The Green Front Grocery and Market closed for half a day each Thursday afternoon during July and August. Nicky had not availed himself of the knowledge. "Well, if it ain't Nicky, I just seen you come out of Moriarty's as I was passing." She had seen him go in an hour before, and had waited a patient hour in the drugstore across the street. "What you doin' round loose this hour of the day, anyway?" "I'm off 's afternoon." "Are you? So'm I." Nicky said nothing. Miss Bowers shifted from one plump silken leg to the other. "What you doin'?" "Oh, nothing much." "So'm I. Let's do it together." Miss Bowers employed the direct method. "Well," said Nick vaguely. He didn't object particularly, and yet he was conscious of some formless program forming mistily in his mind, a program that did not include the berouged, powdered, plump, and silken Miss Bowers. "I phoned you this morning, Nicky, twice." "Yeah?" "They said you wasn't in." "Yeah?" A hard young woman, Miss Bowers, yet simple. Powerfully drawn toward this magnetic and careless boy, powerless to forge chains strong enough to hold him. "Well, now about Riverview. I've been this summer." "Oh, that's so darn far. Take all day getting there, pretty near." "Not driving, it wouldn't." "I ain't got the bus. Busted." His apathy was getting on her nerves. "How about a movie, then?" Her feet hurt. It was hot. His glance went up the street toward the harbor, down the street toward Hyde Park. The sign above the harbor offered "Mother o' Mine." The lettering above the Hyde Park announced "Love's Sacrifice." "God, no," he made decisive answer. Miss Bowers' frazzled nerves snapped. "You make me sick. Standing there, nothing don't suit you. Say, I ain't so crazy to go around with you, cheap guy. Probably you'd like to go over to Wooded Island or something in Jackson Park and sit on the grass and feed the squirrels. That'd be a treat for me, that would." She laughed, a high, scornful, tear-near laugh. Why, say, Nick stared at her, and yet she felt he did not see her. A sudden peace came into his face, the peace of a longing fulfilled. He turned his head. A Lake Park Avenue streetcar was roaring its way toward them. He took a step toward the roadway. I gotta be going. Fear flashed its flame into Miss Bower's pale blue eyes. Going? How do you mean going? Going where? I got to be going. The car had stopped opposite them. His young face was stern, implacable. Miss Bowers knew she was beaten, but she clung to hope tenaciously, piteously. I gotta see a party, see? You never said anything about it in the first place. Pity you wouldn't say so in the first place. Who you got to see, anyway? She knew it was useless to ask. She knew she was beating her fists against a stone wall, but she must needs ask, notwithstanding. Who you got to see? I got to see a party. I forgot. He made the car step in 2 long strides and swung himself up. So long. The car door slammed after him. Miss Bowers, in her unavailing silks, stood disconsolate on the hot street corner. He swayed on the car platform until 63rd Street was reached. There he alighted and stood a moment at the curb, surveying idly the populous corner. In an open space reserved for games, some boys were playing baseball with much hoarse hooting and frenzied action. He drew near to watch. The ball, misdirected, sailed suddenly toward him. He ran backward at its swift approach, leaped high, caught it, and with a long curving swing, so easy as to appear almost effortless, sent it hurtling back. The lad on the pitcher's mound made as if to catch it, changed his mind, dodged, started after it. The boy at the bat called to Nick. Hey, you, want to come on and pitch? Nick shook his head and went on. He wandered leisurely along the gravel path that led to the park golf shelter. The wide porch was crowded with golfers and idlers. A foursome was teed up at the first tee. Nick leaned against a porch pillar, waiting for them to drive. That old boy had a pretty good practice swing. Stiff, though. Look at that dame. Geez, I bet she takes 15 shots before she even gets onto the green. There, that kid. Pretty good drive. Must have been 150 anyway. Pretty good for a kid. Nick, in the course of his kaleidoscopic career, had been a caddy at 13, in torn shirt and flapping knickers. He had played the smooth, expert, scornful game of the caddy with a natural swing from the lithe waist, and a follow-through that was the envy of the muscle-bound men who watched him. He hadn't played in years. The game no longer interested him. He entered the shelter lunchroom. The counters were lined with lean, brown, hungry men and lean, brown, hungry women. They were eating incredible dishes, considering that the hour was 3 p.m. and the day a hot one. Corned beef hash with a poached egg on top, wieners and potato salad, meat pies, hot roast beef sandwiches, steaming cups of coffee in thick whiteware, watermelon. Nick slid a leg over a stool, as he had done earlier in the afternoon. Here, too, the Hebes were of stern stuff, as they needs must be to serve these ravenous hordes of club swingers who swarmed upon them from dawn to dusk. Their task it was to wait upon the golfing male, which is man at his simplest, reduced to the least common denominator, and shorn of all attraction for the female eye and heart. They represented merely hungry mouths, weary muscles, reaching fists. The waitresses served them as a capable attendant serves another woman's child, efficiently and without emotion. "Blueberry pie a la mode," said Nick, "with strawberry ice cream." Inured as she was to the horrors of gastronomic miscegenation, the waitress, an old girl, recoiled at this. "Say, I don't think you'd like that. They don't mix so very good. Why don't you try the peach pie instead with the strawberry ice cream, if you want strawberry?" He looked so cool and young and fresh. "Blueberry," repeated Nick sternly, and looked her in the eye. The old waitress laughed a little, and was surprised to find herself laughing. "It's for you to say." She brought him the monstrous mixture, and he devoured it to the last chromatic crumb. "Nothing the matter with that," he remarked, as she passed, dish laden. She laughed again, tolerantly, almost tenderly. "Good thing you're young." Her busy glance lingered a brief moment on his face. He sauntered out. Now he took the path to the right of the shelter, crossed the road, struck the path again, came to a rustic bridge that humped high in the middle, spanning a cool green stream, willow-bordered. The cool green stream was an emerald chain that threaded its way in a complete circlet about the sylvan spot known as Wooded Island, relic of World's Fair days. The little island lay like a thing under enchantment, silent, fragrant, golden green, exquisite. Squirrels and blackbirds, rabbits and pigeons mingled in Aesopian accord. The air was warm and still, held by the encircling trees and shrubbery. There was not a soul to be seen. At the far north end, the two Japanese model houses, survivors of the exposition, gleamed white among the trees. Nick stood a moment, his eyelids closed languorously. He stretched his arms out and up deliciously, bringing his stomach in and his chest out. He took off his cap and stuffed it into his pocket. He strolled across the thick, cool nap of the grass, deserting the pebble path. At the west edge of the island a sign said, "No one allowed in the shrubbery." Ignoring it, Nick parted the branches, stopped and crept, reached the bank that sloped down to the cool green stream, took off his coat, and lay relaxed upon the ground. Above him, the tree branches made a pattern against the sky. Little ripples lipped the shore. Scampering velvet-footed things, feathered things, winged things, made pleasant stir among the leaves. Nick slept. He awoke in half an hour, refreshed. He lay there, thinking of nothing. A charming gift. He found a stray peanut in his pocket and fed it to a friendly squirrel. His hand encountered the cool metal of his harmonica. He drew out the instrument, placed his coat folded under his head, crossed his knees, one leg swinging idly, and began to play rapturously. He was perfectly happy. He played "Gimme Love," whose jazz measures are stolen from Mendelssohn's Spring Song. He did not know this. The leaves rustled. He did not turn his head. "Hello, Pan," said a voice. A girl came down the slope and seated herself beside him. She was not smiling. Nick removed the harmonica from his lips and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "Hello, who?" "Hello, Pan." "Wrong number, lady," Nick said, and again applied his lips to the mouth organ. The girl laughed then, throwing back her head. Her throat was long and slim and brown. She clasped her knees with her arms and looked at Nick amusedly. Nick thought she was a kind of homely little thing. Pan, she explained, was a pagan deity. He played pipes in the woods. "It's all right with me," Nick ventured, bewildered, but amiable. He wished she'd go away, but she didn't. She began to take off her shoes and stockings. She went down to the water's edge. Then she paddled her feet. Nick sat up, outraged. "Say, you can't do that." She glanced back at him over her shoulder. "Oh, yes, I can. It's so hot." She wriggled her toes ecstatically. The leaves rustled again. Briskly, unmistakably, this time, a heavy tread, a rough voice said, "Say, look here. Get out of there, you. What the—" A policeman, red-faced, wroth. "You can't do that. Get out of here." It was like a movie, Nick thought. The girl turned her head. "Oh, now, Mr. Elwood," she said. "Oh, it's you, miss," said the policeman. You would not have believed it could be the same policeman. He even giggled. "Thought you was away." "I was. In fact, I am, really. I just got sick of it and ran away for a day. Drove. Alone. The family'll be wild." "All the way?" said the policeman incredulously. "Say, I thought that looked like your car standing out there by the road, but I says no, she ain't in town." He looked sharply at Nick, whose face had an Indian composure, though his feelings were mixed. "Who's this?" "He's a friend of mine. His name's Pan." She was drying her feet with an inadequate rose-colored handkerchief. She crept crab-wise back up the bank and put on her stockings and slippers. "Why'n't you come out and sit on a bench?" suggested the policeman, worriedly. The girl shook her head. "In Arcadia, we don't sit on benches. I should think you'd known that. Go on, anyway, there's a dear. I want to talk to Pan." He persisted. "What did your pa say, I'd like to know?" The girl shrugged her shoulders. Nick made as though to rise. He was worried. A nut, that's what. She pressed him down again with a hard brown hand. "Now, it's all right. He's just going. Old fuss." The policeman stood a brief moment longer, then the foliage rustled again. He was gone. The girl sighed happily. "Play that thing some more, will you? You're a whiz at it, aren't you?" "I'm pretty good," said Nick modestly. Then the outrageousness of her conduct struck him afresh. "Say, who are you, anyway?" "My name's Berry. Short for Bernice. What's yours, Pan?" "Nick. That is, Nick." "Oh, terrible. I'll stick to Pan. What do you do when you're not panning?" Then, at the bewilderment in his face, "What's your job?" "I work in the ideal garage. Say, you're pretty nosy, ain't you?" "Yes, pretty. That accounts for your nails, hmm?" She looked at her own brown paws. "'Bout as bad as mine. I drove 150 miles today." "Yes, you did." "I did. Started at 6, and I'll probably drive back tonight." "You're crazy." "I know it," she agreed. "And it's wonderful. Can you play the Tommy Tuttle?" "Yeah, it's kind of hard, though, where the runs are. I don't get to run so very good." He played it. She kept time with head and feet. When he had finished and wiped his lips, "Elegant!" She took the harmonica from him. wiped it brazenly on the much-abused rose-colored handkerchief, and began to play, her cheeks puffed out, her eyes round with effort. She played the Tommy Tuttle, and her runs were perfect. Nick's chagrin was swallowed by his admiration and envy. "Say, kid, you got more wind than a factory whistle. Who learned you to play?" She struck her chest with a hard brown fist. "Tennis, Tim taught me." "Who's Tim?" "A chauffeur." Nick leaned closer. "Say, do you ever go to the dances at Englewood Masonic Hall?" "I never have." "Yeah, like to go sometime?" "I love it." She grinned up at him, her teeth flashing white in her brown face. "It's swell here," he said dreamily. "Like the woods?" "Yes." "Winter, when it's cold and dirty, I think about how it's here summers. It's like you could take it out of your head and look at it whenever you wanted to." "Endymion." "Huh?" "A man said practically the same thing the other day. Name of Keats." "Yeah?" "He said, 'A thing of beauty is a joy forever.'" "That's one way of putting it," he agreed graciously. Unsmilingly, she reached over with one slim forefinger, as if compelled, and touched the blond hairs of Nick's wrist. Just touched them. Nick remained motionless. The girl shivered a little, deliciously. She glanced at him shyly. Her lips were provocative. Thoughtlessly, blindly, Nick suddenly flung an arm about her and kissed her. He kissed her as he had never kissed Miss Bowers, as he had never kissed Miss Ahern, Miss Olson, or just Gertie. The girl did not scream, or push him away, or slap him, or protest, or giggle, as would have the above-mentioned young ladies. She sat breathing rather fast, a tinge of scarlet showing beneath the tan. "Well, Pan," she said, low-voiced, "you're running true to form, anyway." She eyed him appraisingly. "Your appeal is in your virility, I suppose?" "Yes." "My what?" She rose. "I've got to go." Panic seized him. "Say, don't drive back tonight, huh? Wherever it is you've got to go, you ain't driving back tonight." She made no answer, parted the bushes, was out on the gravel path in the sunlight, a slim, short-skirted, almost childish figure. He followed. They crossed the bridge, left the island, reached the roadway almost in silence. At the side of the road was a roadster. Its hood was the kind that conceals power. Its lamps were two giant eyes, rimmed in precious metal. Its line spelled strength. Its body was foreign. Nick's engine-wise eyes saw these things at a glance. "That your car?" "Yes." "Gosh." She unlocked it, threw in the clutch, shifted, moved. "Say," was wrung from Nick helplessly. She waved at him. "Goodbye, Pan." He stared, stricken. She was off swiftly, silently, flashed around a corner, was hidden by the trees and shrubs. He stood a moment. He felt bereaved, cheated. Then a little wave of exultation shook him. He wanted to talk to someone. "Gosh," he said again. He glanced at his wrist. 5:30. He guessed he'd go home and get one of Ma's dinners. One of Ma's dinners and talk to Ma. The 63rd Street car. He could make it back. in plenty of time. Nick lived in that section of Chicago known as Englewood, which is not so sylvan as it sounds, but appropriate enough for a faun. Not only that, he lived in South Green Street, Englewood. South Green Street, near 70th, is almost rural, with its great elms and poplars, its frame cottages, its back gardens, a neighborhood of thrifty, foreign-born fathers and mothers, many children, tree-lined streets, badly paved. Nick turned in at a two-story brown frame cottage. He walked around to the back. Ma was in the kitchen. Nick's presence at the evening meal was an uncertain thing. Sometimes he did not eat at home for a week, accepting only his hurried early breakfast. He rarely spent an evening at home, and when he did, used the opportunity for making up lost sleep. Pa never got home from work until after 6. Nick liked his dinner early and hot. On his rare visits, his mother welcomed him like one of the Gracchi. Mother and son understood each other wordlessly, having much in common. You would not have thought it of her. 46 bust, 40 waist, measureless hips. But Ma was a nymph at heart, hence Nick. Hello, Ma. She was slamming expertly about the kitchen. Hello yourself, said Ma. Ma had a line of slang gleaned from her numerous brood. It fell strangely from her lips. Ma had never quite lost a tinge of the foreign accent, though she had come to America when a girl. A hearty, zestful woman, savoring life with gusto, undiminished by childbearing and hard work. Eating home, Dewey? She alone used his given name. Yeah, but I gotta be back by 7:30. Got anything ready? Dinner ain't, but I'll get you something. Plenty. Platter ham and eggs and a quick fry. Cherry cobbler's done. I'll fix you some. Cherry cobbler is shortcake with a soul. He ate enormously at the kitchen table, she hovering over him. What's the news, Dewey? Ain't none. He ate in silence. Then, how old was you when you married Pa? Me? Say, I wasn't no more'n a kid. I gotta laugh when I think of it. And what was Pa earning? She laughed a great hearty laugh, dipping a piece of bread sociably in the fat on the platter as she stood by the table, just to bear him company. Say, earn! If he'd have earned what you was earning now, we'd have thought we was millionaires. Time Eddie was born, he was pulling down 13 a week, and we saved on it. She looked at him suddenly, sharply. Why? Oh, I was just wondering. Look what good money he's getting now. If I was you, I wouldn't stick around no old garage for what they give you. You could get a good job in the works with Pa. First thing you know, you'd be pulling down big money. You're smart like that with engines. Takes a lot of money nowadays for a feller to get married. You tell 'em, agreed Nick. He looked up at her, having finished eating. His glance was almost tender. How'd you come to marry Pa, anyway? You and him so different. The nymph in Ma leaped to the surface and stayed there a moment, sparkling, laughing, dimpling. Oh, I don't know. I kept running away, and he kept running after, like that. He looked up again, quickly, at that. Yeah, that's it. Fella don't like to have no girl chasing him all the time. Say, he likes to do the chasing himself. Ain't that the truth? You tell 'em, agreed Ma. A great jovial laugh shook her, heavy-footed now, but light of heart. Suddenly, I'm thinking of going to night school. Learn something. I don't know nothing. You do, too, do we? Ah, what I know. I never had enough schoolin'. Wished I had. Whose doin's was it? You wouldn't stay. Wouldn't go no more than sixth reader and quit. Nothing wouldn't get you to go. He agreed gloomily. I know it. I don't know what nothing is. Arcadia. Or now vitality. Or nothing. Oh, that comes easy, she encouraged him, when you begin once. He reached for her hand gratefully. You're a swell cook, Ma. He had a sudden burst of generosity, of tenderness. Soon's the bus is fixed, I'll take you joy-riding over to the lake. Ma always wore a boudoir cap of draggled lace and ribbon for motoring. Nick almost never offered her a ride. She did not expect him to. She pushed him playfully. Go on. You got plenty young girls to take riding, not your ma. Oh, girls, he said scornfully. Then, in another tone, girls. He was off. It was almost 7. Pa was late. He caught a car back to 53rd Street. Elmer was lounging in the cool doorway of the garage. Nick, in sheer exuberance of spirits, squared off, doubled his fists, and danced about Elmer in a semicircle, working his arms as a prize-fighter does, warily. He jabbed at Elmer's jaw playfully. "Oh, what you been doing?" inquired that long-suffering gentleman. "Makes you feel so good. Where you been?" "Oh, nowheres. Bummin' round. Park." He turned in the direction of the stairway. Elmer lounged after him. "Oh, say, Dame's been callin' for you last half-hour. Like to bust the phone. Makes me sick." "Ah, Bowers." "No, that wasn't the name. Name's Mary or Berry, something like that. Dozen times, I bet you. Says you want to call her as soon as you come in. Drexel 473. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right, Drexel 473. Swell chance, said Nick. Suddenly his buoyancy was gone. His shoulders drooped. His cigarette dangled limp. Disappointment curved his lips, burdened his eyes. Swell chance. End of chapter 1, part 2.